Good day everyone and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do something different for a change. I'll get back onto the amplifier tomorrow. I got the balance board, BMS balancing board for my drill battery pack. So what I want to do is I want to harvest the connectors and the LEDs off of here and basically just glue them with super glue or something to the housing, and then I'm not going to have a temperature sensor on this board, but that's alright. These batteries are screwed. One was already screwed and replaced with an odd cell which was harvested out of something else. It appears to be leaking, so that's going. So what I'm going to do is I've got this pile of batteries. I've got a whole load of random cells all over the place in here, but in particular I've got this pile of cells and they've been sitting there for probably about a year. I think they're like 2300 milliamp hour, 2500, something around that area. These are only 1300 and they lasted in the drill for a while, so these will be fine. And they're good batteries, and here's the thing, I don't even have to bother balancing them, not just because I've got the board, but they've been sitting on that shelf for years. So what I did is I went through the whole pile and I just selected the ones that had basically the exact same voltage on them. Because if they've been resting for that long and they're resting at the same voltage, that means that their internal resistance, I'm not talking about the equivalent series resistance or whatever you want to think of it as. I'm talking about the leakage resistance inside the cell. You can tell it's all at the same level. The degradation of the cells are at the same level. If they've been sitting, they came out of a balanced battery pack. It was left about 3/4 charged state 2 years ago, and that's what they've dropped to. And I've got I measured some other cells just for reference. Like there's 3.953, there's 3.938, so I just chose they're all 3.960 or something like that. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to use for this pack. So incidentally, because I already use them to build a battery pack and I don't bother spot welding, I've already scratched back the chrome plating and soldered copper bus bars to them, so I'll remove them. The trick with this, if you ever have to or want to solder to an 18650 or any lithium ion cell for that matter, you've got to get rid of the coating on there because you can't solder to it. So you need to grind it with a Dremel or some really rough sandpaper or something like that. And then you want to crank up the temperature on your soldering iron because you do not want to warm up the battery and heat it, because if it's charged, it can burst up into flames because of the amount of energy inside it. So you want to make sure that the surface is really, really ready to accept solder and be as quick as you can on it. And what I do instantly afterwards is I have my sponge wet in the the soldering sponge. I have that wet, and the second I'm done soldering it, I put it in the sponge. So it's literally, you don't want enough time for the heat to transfer into the battery. It's not even recommended to do that, but you can do it, I've done it for years. I've seen other people do it. You can do it once you get the knack of it, but it's not recommended, but I'm just giving you advice. If you choose to do it, that's how to do it. Alright. So anyway, so I'm going to pull this apart because I just need these 2 bits of plastic really. Just to use as a former, essentially, to hold the cells. That's all I want to keep it for. That should sit in there just like that, So I'll mount the new cells into this. I don't need any of these tabs. I'm just going to make it up. I've got this huge, ginormous roll. I mean, it's not as big now after I've wound transformers and stuff. But yeah, thick ass wire. So I'll just scratch all the enamel off of some of that, make up some bus bar, and use that. I might even have a few bits left over. I'm not bothering with that. Yeah, so I'll just make up some bus bar. That's all good. And, you know, make up a link, one there, cut a couple of wires. This is a little bit smaller than the other board. I still haven't worked out how I'm going to get it all together, you know. I'm thinking what I might do is cut this down all flush with this base level here so the board can sit flush against it, giving me more clearance away from this space, which it's got clearance anyway, but I want as much clearance as I can get in there. And then I might be able to just, I don't know, Captain tape, cable tie, whatever, the board just literally to, not this way, I'm just doing it this way so that I don't short the board. You know, so I can just get it down close to it and then drop it in the bottom, and then I'll have to work out a way to make my connections. I haven't thought about this yet. I'll probably end up making, like once I get all these parts off, I won't glue them straight in there. I'll have to make all this up first, you know, like get the board on there, get it all soldered up, make some really small lengths of wire that are just the right length to go to all this stuff, solder all this onto it so it's floating in the air, and then glue it all in, I guess, and shut it. Yeah, you've seen the drill. It's a cheap ass drill. It's, you know, the only reason I'm bothering fixing it is because it was literally a drill that I can't even remember how I got it. Council cleanup, it was given to me, something like that, you know, like it wasn't brand new. It had already been used, and I've thrashed it for years and it still works perfectly fine. So I mean, I'm actually quite impressed with it for what it is. So I thought I'll just fix the battery pack and keep using it. I only use it in the lab now anyway. I've got better drills for other stuff, so it's actually perfect for in here. So that's why I'm fixing it. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to get on with what I've just said. Just get rid of them. There's no way of mounting the new BMS board to these standoffs anyway, if anyone's wondering. Guess I could reuse them if I really wanted to. Got plenty of bits of wire lying around. Yeah, so yeah, that's how it's going to go. Yeah, that's nice like that. I just need a way of holding it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have some thick ass pieces of copper folded over holding it in place. It's not going anywhere anyway. Yeah, just with the bus bars holding it, you know. And if I want to, I could use, I don't have to use little bits of wire. I could use the same thick bus bar, or I could use something like this, but like insulated. Doesn't really have to, but yeah, and solder that to the different points. So it's going to be pretty well secured anyway. It's not like it's going to go anywhere, I don't think. So I'm not really worried about that in terms of left or right, sideways, you know, as long as it can't come away like up, you know, and hit the connections in the top, which is why I put something around it. Yeah, I'm happy. It's not like it's a full-on like expensive drill with a powerful motor in it that draws a crap ton of current either. It's, you know, it's got like a 775 motor in it or something like that. So yeah, nothing special. All right. So these pads here correlate with charging and finished charging or something like that. It was hard to interpret the ad, but that's what it said. So I'll have to work out what they referenced to. I'm imagining it's 0 volt pad. I can see a trace from that pad going over around here up to the base of that transistor there, it looks like, yeah. And this trace goes and buggers off in between the MOSFETs and comes out underneath this resistor and goes somewhere up to here. So I'd say it's referenced to this 0-volt pad, but that's good because the LEDs will get hooked up to there, so that's cool. I'm really not even bothered if it gets to the point that I'm like running out of space or it's just too awkward or whatever to fit the LEDs in there. I'm worried about it shorting out, like wires rubbing out, stuff like that. I won't even bother putting them in, you know. But if I can get them in there, I'll get them in there. Or even if I just get one in there for like full charge indicator or something, you know. I'm not too worried about that, you know. Why am I even bothering? It's got that much length on it. I only needed to solder wires to it. There's plenty of length on that to solder wires to it. Random. LED standoffs. Charging port, that's the other thing I do want. Just trying to think the best way to get that out. Try flooding it. It's just that this board's not only whatever you call FR4, like the fiberglass crap, which is pretty good at absorbing heat, but the worst thing for absorbing heat is, you know, huge ground planes and traces, and well, this board's got both. It's a thick little bit of FR4 or whatever you call it. I think it's FR4. There we go. Cool. Now I do know that the MOSFETs on here and the shunt resistors and those diodes are okay, so I'll just chuck this in my harvesting parts pile. I know the only thing that's on it that's buggered is that controller chip, because I've tested everything on it trying to fix it in the last video. So alright. Might as well just be destructive with this too. Say this is gone. I'll still test the blue cells. I'll charge them up and put them on my load bank. It's got battery discharging functionality and everything, so it can tell me exactly the cell capacity, you know. I'll still do that. Obviously not that one. That was a cell I salvaged out of something that the wrap was screwed up on it, and I just painted it and it ended up rusting and whatnot. I think it's leaking actually. Yeah, that can go in the bin. Clean this plastic up. Just make sure there's no like liquid or rust or anything in there, so it doesn't start going through the new battery. Yeah, I'll test these in my spare time. I've got a funny feeling they're actually good cells. And that rust that was on the end of one of them was just from that middle cell that was leaking. Yeah, these are fine. Like, it's not even in need of a wash. They're great. So, alright. I don't know if I'm going to need this thing or not. Oh yeah, the reason there's only this on one end is because there's this little cutout in the plastic there, and the spring for the button goes there, and it's just to stop any chance of the battery touching the spring. So that's all that's for. I'll still keep that bit too. Guess I won't be needing those screws anymore. Put that off to the side too. Alright. I'll just stop the video and go prepare some wire because I've got to cut like a length of it and scrape all the enamel off. And I'll pre-tin it up too. That'll save some time for the video too. So I'll be back soon. A lot of you might have noticed on the wall, not the wall above me where all my test leads are, but the wall on that side where the components are, like over there. There's a whole load of bits of copper wire and stuff, rolls of copper wire and off cuts, and then there's just all cables and stuff over there. But anyway, I just found this piece of copper. It's been sitting up there for a while, so it's not shiny anymore. So I'm just gonna give it a quick sanding with some oh my god, wet and dry. I'll be back in a sec. One magically transformed piece of copper. I think that's going to be more than enough to do the entire job. It's plenty thick enough too. I think it's actually the same. Yeah, it's the same wire. You know what? That's probably why it's so oxidized. This is probably the same bit of wire that I used, like what was left over from the big long bit that I cut when I made this battery pack up for something. Wouldn't be surprised. Looks like it. All right. Might turn my soldering iron up a bit more. That's still quick, but like I said, if you can do it really quick and then get it straight and cold, the actual roll of cell inside's barely even getting warm. There's an art to it. Also heat risers, so hold the battery up, like upright. Don't solder it like that. Try and keep it as face up as you can because, you know, heat rises. I'm not trying to be annoying pointing all these things out. I just don't like doing, you know, something that's fairly dodgy on YouTube without explaining why it's dodgy and all the ins and outs of safety. I'm sure most people that are watching know what they're doing and get this, but I'd hate for some kid to see me soldering an 18650, go take a fully charged cell and then sit there trying to solder to it for like 5 minutes and it goes bang, you know, like that. I have to point out that this is not a good thing to do. By the way, I have my iron set at 380 degrees. Could probably use about 400 even, I reckon. But you know, the hotter you turn your iron up, the quicker the element burns out in it. But there at the same time, you know, you don't want to go destroying components and batteries and things either, so yeah. Alright. So 0 volts there. Beautiful. That is bloody tight. That's really nice. That got it on. All right. I'm just going to go tin up this piece of wire off camera. I don't want to waste your time watching me tin a long ass piece of wire. I've got this single helping hand here, so I'll just sort of tin like, I don't know, half of it at a time or something. Do you want to watch? I feel like this is going to bore people. I think I'll just pause the video. Just about finished. The other side of it's done already. All right. I'm just going to do what I just did there on the other side and just run the iron up and down it a little bit more, and just, there's a couple of little spots that aren't tinning perfectly. On the sides where I never got the iron. I'm sure I've already got it completely tinned by now, but if you've ever tinned a huge piece of copper, you know what I'm talking about. I just want to make sure it's all nice and tinned thoroughly. All right. You know what? There's a couple of spots on this end I missed somewhere. Should have covered it in flux first. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, that's good. All right. So now I've got that. That's going to be my bus bar basically. Try and make it flat. All right. Now, I need a negative tab, so I might as well do that like that. Yeah, I really didn't think that through, did I? That's the end of the bloody pack. I only need this little bit. And I held the wrong piece when I cut it, so I lost the bit I needed. There it is. Alright. Is that going to fit? No. I can't believe I just did that. I do really silly things sometimes. Don't worry, I'm not going to short the cells out. if anyone's wondering how, I am aware that there's just a little plastic ring there and there on the positive side, but I'll keep the wire a little bit of a distance away from it, you know. And there's also this plastic lip that's got to go over there, so I think I'll be right. If it looks like it's too close, I'll do something about it. Alright, you know what, I almost forgot, positive electrode. So that'll do. More than enough. Probably do all the sense lines out of that too. Because that's just going to sit there and I'm just going to wrap them over, so yeah, cool. Alright. I think I'll hold my bit of wire with something so I don't burn the crap out of my finger. Not the best way of soldering. This is why I tinned everything in advance. I was going to get some more water for my sponge. It doesn't sound too wet. Alright, that's way more wet now. Oh, yeah, that'll be plenty. Yeah, wonderful. Still nickel tab spot welded to the top of this battery. I just realised I've only soldered onto the nickel tab. Oh well, that's how it's going to stay. Yeah, nice. It's full of water in there now. Ah, it's alright, I'll dry it afterwards. Good enough. Wait, oh yeah, I didn't solder the other tab, did I? You see, like, I can hold my hand on that straight afterwards. I'm doing it quick enough not to get the heat transferred into the actual roll of cell inside. I'm still not recommending this, and I'm still not, you know, saying that this is how you should be making up 18650 packs or any lithium packs for that matter. Unless they're the ones with soldered tab terminals, then yeah, okay, fair enough, that's a bit different. Shit. That went a little bit longer than what I planned for, but still all good. I don't know how I actually got that to take, but it did. Yeah, those wires have got like a little gap. They're not even touching that plastic. And that wire's that thick too. It's not like it's ever gonna go anywhere. If I've got something, yeah. I don't want to put force on the cell. It's good enough. Alright, I'll just put this on. I don't like one side of that. Alright. Bloody brilliant. Can't ask for more than that. The only thing that could be a bit of a challenge is getting the clearance to work in the top of the case where the connectors are, but I'll make it work. Alright, let's add our balance wires. We've got our 4.2 volt wire and our 8.4 volt wire, and then power to the drill. I'll just go get some new wire. Alright, I just pre-tinned up a couple of bits of wire. Oh, that goes there. Make that a bit shorter. All right. Beautiful. Just what we want. Huh? Oh, you know what it's probably for? A bi-directional LED. It probably goes between the pads and it flips states like, you know, 2-color LED. Flips polarity. I just realised, yeah. Or unless there's a dropper resistor in series with that voltage, but I'm not about to try and draw current from it and find out and destroy something on the board, so I might just leave the LEDs off, I don't know. No, you know what I'll do? Because I'm going to do a test charge on this, obviously. I'll tack the LEDs on there back to back, but I'll put like a at least a 1K resistor in series with each LED, just in case it's not current limited or something, you know, so I don't go and fry something else on the board. I think that's what I'll do. Yeah. All right, now I've got to work out, because this part's easy. Does it matter which way around this goes? I think it'd be better if I had my power coming out up the back of the pack, because wait, is it solder not clearing enough? Oh no, I can make it fit. Cool. Yeah, that fits. Cool. You know what? I'm just going to be lazy. I'm just going to take my Dremel and just Dremel those 2 little plastic bumps there and there. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, I've just made a couple little slots there. So that should have clearance now, because if what I'm thinking is, yeah, that's beautiful. That fits perfect. Perfectly flush. Because I want it as good, like, actually, you know what? I forgot this thing. Alright. So that's how that goes. Anyway, what I'm thinking is if I put the terminals down here, it's going to be up in there. That'll give me space to run the wires over to here. And then, oh, did I forget to harvest the connector off that other board? I did, didn't I? Done last day, moment, threw it away without taking the connector off of it. Alright, that's going to be a fun one. It could be worse, it could have the middle pins in there. But, bloody hell. I'm tempted just to snap it. Oh no, it's 4 pins. Alright. Maybe I'll just, no, you know what, I'll get these helping hands. I'll put it in these ones. I have an idea. We'll see if it works. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Not in a million years. Nope. That's just going to get the whole lot so bloody hot, it won't be funny. I'll melt the plastic. I think I might just make the board smaller by cutting it. Let me just pause the video and have a think about this. I'm just going to try one more thing. Yeah. I was thinking the less solder I've got in there, the better. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it's actually flowed through. It looks like it's just up to the edge. My desoldering gun might actually be able to suck that out. There definitely are 4 pins. Hey, you know what? I should be able to take them out individually. Yeah. You know what? We might actually have this just with what I was trying in the first place. Yeah. There you go. I'll just take a pin at a time. Cool. Let me get this one out. Jeez. Got it. Cool. I just wanted to get that plastic off before I start melting it. It is that sort of fiberglass reinforced tool plastic. It's hard to burn, but still you can burn it. It just takes more temperature to burn it. Wait, is there a lump of solder stopping that from going in? No, it's just the way it is. Alright, so now what I want to do, I guess, if I can fold these over, and that fits pretty tight in there too. That's good because I can pack that in, like, I don't know, maybe put a couple layers of Captain tape around and super glue it in or something. I don't know, I'll work it out. Maybe just super glue the whole lot in and just keep flooding it with super glue. I don't know, I'll work it out, but I'm just trying to work out how much space I've got here between the board and those contacts. I trying to do the battery up the wrong way? Yep. No. Why does that not? So it already touches. I'm just going to go do this with my big pair of pliers. Alright, I folded them over. I still don't think I'm going to have enough clearance. I think I'm going to have to do something like put some plastic spaces in each corner, and there'll be a little gap around the case. I could just tape it up or something, I'm not worried. It means the battery pack will just be like that much thicker. I'm really not worried about that. Oh, it's the spring missing. So is that crimping on wires, or something's tight, but it's not the board? Oh, you know what? I'm going to put spaces in there anyway, so that doesn't matter. And the spaces I'm thinking about using are just these things. What? Where's they gone? Oh. Just little like 3D printed spaces, or yeah, I'll do 3D printed spaces. I'll cut them in half. Like that. Don't worry, I got plenty of screws. I got longer screws. That's not a problem. So if I just put a spacer in like each corner hole like so. Now I can just put some tape around that. That's how thick it's going to be. And to hold the batteries down, I haven't really thought about that yet, to be honest with you. What about if I had the cells the other way? Could I? I was just thinking if I sort of mount this like that with some solid bus bar going from there and there to the pads, and then cover it in glue and stick this on the top. I've also got to wire this up to here too, but I'm actually thinking, because I'm gonna want to plug this in and out, and there's no surface area to glue to except for this rim. So if I just put it there, it's not gonna really last very long. Just thinking if there's somewhere else I can mount it. Oh, it's back to front. Not really. Yeah, no, not really. I might just not bother with it because I can charge it from this, you see? It doesn't, this is just going in parallel with it. So yeah, I'll just eliminate that too. To be honest with you guys, that's honestly pretty much most of the time how I've been charging this battery pack is just off a lab power supply with a couple bits of wires jammed into the terminals. I just walked over here to put that in the DC barrel jack drawer. What sort of screws do I need? Actually, these are smaller threads than 2.5s. They're not the same thread pitch, but what I'm saying is 2.5mm screws are so much thicker that they're going to jam in there so tight they're going to, yeah, make their own thread. I'm just going to go see what other screws I've got because I've got a lot of different screws in the back of the house too. Alright, so I've worked out what I'm going to do with the LEDs too. Because now I've turned this around this way, they're going to sit there and there's all these holes here, so I don't need to worry about running them up and trying to mount them. I'll be able to see the light shining just through the holes in the case. I'm really not bothered. You know, as long as it works, as long as I can just chuck it on charge, come back and it's charged and my drill works for a few weeks, that's, you know, it just gets used in the lab to undo screws and do screws up if I've got to take like 100 screws out of something and I don't want to do it by hand, you know. It's pretty much what it gets used for, so just make these spaces flat. Flattish. That'll do. Alright, so I'll make up this now. I'm just going to solder that across both tabs and take it to there. I'll come back when I've done that. Alright, so I've got this thing now. So I'm thinking of just actually what maybe I should. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to put the battery pack the other way around. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I'll go get some fiberglass sleeving for that. But yeah, that's got plenty of length to reach, so I can make that work with spacers. It's a bit janky, but it's only my lab drill. I really don't care. And as for this, I reckon it's a bi-directional LED. I'm just gonna, yeah, I'll just go get some power and bring some power over here. Well, I just took that to the lab power supply, or one of the lab power supplies, put 12.6 volts I had it set to, 12.55, something like that, almost like the full voltage. Started dialing the current up. The board limits at 1 amp, which is cool, but there was never power between those two pads, and there was constantly 12 point something volts between those two pads and the other pads. the state doesn't seem to change, so I don't see how I'm supposed to hook up LEDs. It's just referenced positive. I don't see how. I'm just going to leave them out. Maybe one day I'll find out and I'll put some in there, but again, it doesn't bother me because in reality, I'm going to come in like to my lab when it's like the end of the night and I know my drill's flat. I'm going to plug it in, and then I'm going to come in the morning, I'm going to unplug it and it's going to be charged. That's going to stop charging it when it's charged. So it's not like I don't need the LEDs. What I need is the batteries, the BMS, and the connector really. So I'll just go with that and be happy with it. What I'm going to do now is glue this in place. I haven't thought exactly what I want to do yet. It's only got a very mild gap around it, you know. Let me go see what I got to shim that up with. Incidentally, I did find some screws out the back. I forgot about them. They've been sitting in my pocket, and use that size. I've got some heat-proof sleeving. I can't think what it's made out of. Fiberglass. Alright, so what I found fits well is a couple of TO220 mica insulators. I think what I'm going to do is dribble super glue all in this area so it makes contact with all of this plastic, and then I'll cover those bits around the side, you know, and put this in there and dribble some more in there, and then get these, slide these in, because not only it packs the space up but it makes it stiff, and then I can hold it to the front so it'll be glued to the front of the case too. It'll be bloody glued everywhere, it will never be going anywhere. So, because I don't want to have to keep coming back to it because it, you know, separates. Alright, let's see how this goes. So far quite promising. I'll make sure every little bit's covered. I don't see this ever going anywhere. I'm pretty confident that's in there for life. That's perfect. There's no glue in the battery contacts, but it's all squeezing out everywhere else. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's not going nowhere. All right, that's how I'm accomplishing that. Don't ask me how I'm going to solder it to that. I guess I'll sort of move them together. I'll form them up and sort of get them there and solder through the gap, because I'll have it apart, if that makes sense. I'll just show you guys when it comes to it. I've got to let this to dry now. Leave this to dry. That's all right. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Yeah, there's plenty of glue in there. All right, I'm just gonna leave that to dry and we'll come back and put it all together. Well, I made a bit of a boo-boo. It's not a big one, but these need to be soldered the other way. Because I had the battery turned around before, I thought everything was going towards this end. That is not the case. So, I'll just swap these around. Soldering iron's gone to sleep. All right. Nice. Reckon I can get the other one? Oh yeah. That'll do. That will do. Something like that, I reckon. And then I'll put this stuff over it. Cool. Now I just need to, I'll be able to do that easily. Just got to cut them to length, push it down a little bit so that it looks like it's going to be like the right spacing. Actually, I might have to cut these two sleeves just a little bit shorter. Alright, I think that's going to do it. Yeah, that's going to do it perfectly. It's exactly where I want it. Now what I'm thinking is I can just lift these up, solder them to that, and then just push it back down, put the spacers in, do the screws up. You know what, as bodgy as this is, it's actually quite neat, if I might say. I just want to get as much solder as I can on here in preparation, because I know it's not going to be easy for me to get in there with it. Might even add a bit more here, just so when I go to flow this down, you know what I mean, there's enough there. Also, I'm going to have to get down on the floor and do it like this, because otherwise the solder will run into the circuit. Well, I got it. That's it in. If I plug the drill into that, that should work now. Should have a drill again. I need the spring in there. Wait, no I don't. Why on earth does that not go in all the way? What? I swear it doesn't go in all the way. But why? What? I haven't moved anything. It actually feels like the back of the pins. I'll just try and work this out off camera so I don't waste everybody's time. Okay, that was hilarious. You know what it was? Super glue did actually get in the battery contacts, and they were stuck together so the wipers couldn't go in. I just had to give it a bit of a ram. Nice. Oh, the spacing on this one, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you. This is one of those, it's just going to fit jobs. That's it. Now I put my spacers in. I don't even know if I'm going to bother putting tape around that. Yeah, I will to keep bits of crap out, because I'm going to be drilling bits of metal and all sorts of random stuff in the lab. Doing up screws, drilling holes through stuff, so yeah, I'll just tape it. I got the good tape out too, so it doesn't, you know, come unwrapped in like 6 months. Well, I fit it all in here, or kind of. It's a bit bigger than what well, my phone just died at like the best possible timing. Anyway, back on with this. I've gone with different spacers that have got a bigger hole in them, and I've cut them down to size. I found that this can actually get sandwiched together a lot more than what I thought it could without, what do you call it, the contacts, battery terminals, no, the output terminals getting shorted onto the board. I'm still going in with spacers, and they're still the same height, but I was just having a look in here before, and it's actually, you can almost do the case up without spacers before it touches. And even then it only rests on the back of the MOSFETs, but still I wouldn't leave it like that. So that's with the spacers in there. I don't know if these screws are going to be too long or not. Let's see. Ooh. They don't fit the spacers. That's a bit of a problem. What about the 2.5s? I've got some 2.5s that by the time they're down the bottom of that hole, they're like, let me see. Oh, that tube. Oh no, they don't want to go in there. I'm gonna need to do something spacer wise. I need like a bigger spacer. You know what else I forgot to do was to tape, or like put a piece of tape around the battery pack so it can't go anywhere. Damn. Looks like it'll be alright in there. You know what, we might actually be able to do this pack up, because there's no way for it to touch the board where it is. You have to take my word for it, because I can see in the smallest little gap here, because I'm actually here in person, you know. But yeah, there's no way it can touch the board like that. I'm just going to go get the original screws and see if they can actually fit it. There's that gap around there, it just doesn't do up all the way. But that doesn't bother me. I thought I was going to have problems with the those two bits of metal that I put the sleeving around. I thought that was going to touch the board somewhere. One of them just rests on top of the MOSFETs, and the other one just sort of is in open air. It's not touching anything. So I'm just going to do this and then just put some tape around that's even smaller now. I'll tell you what, I might have lost my... Oh, you know what? I forgot to put the spring in. I might have lost the DC barrel jack and the LEDs, but I'm quite happy with it. It's going to work well. Good enough. What's in there? What? Ah, one of those spaces. Alright. I think the original screws will be just long enough because it's only got like a 2.5, no, not even 2.5. It's open by about 2 extra millimeters than what it was. They got plenty. I think one of those screws is threaded. Actually, that might have been from me trying to jam a 2.5mm screw in there. I can tell you now, if it ever pops open in the future, I'll just jam a bigger screw in there. I'm really not worried about it. It basically sits on the bench behind me where the screwdrivers are, and every so often if I've got to drill a hole through a panel, like to mount a pot or something, I'll use it for that. And like I said before, if I've got to like undo 1200 screws on something, you know, and I just obviously don't want to do it by hand, I'll use it for that. Other than that, it just sits on the bench all day, so it's not like it goes on a construction site, for example, and gets thrown around. Or it doesn't need to live up to tough requirements. It just needs to be functional. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. I mean, I can't complain. It's been sitting there broken for like a year. Got a drill now. Still stands up. You know, I'm happy. I call that a win. I'm going to charge that up and set it back on the bench, and I have a drill again. Well, in here I have a drill. I got power drills and stuff like that, but I don't have battery drills. I don't really use them, and that's the only battery drill I got for in here. I'd find it's, you know, I mean, if I was doing huge construction site jobs where I was, you know, like doing a roofing job, for example, or something like that, yeah, obviously I'd want a battery drill. But, you know, I don't really do that, so. And if I am on a roof doing something for my boss, I'm using his power tools, so I don't really need anything. So I've just got my, you know, my corded power drills for stuff that I need to do that requires power, and this one battery drill for stuff in the workshop here, so serves my purposes. Well, I'm going to call that a win. I know it looks a little bit ugly, but does the job. I'll end up making, you know how you can buy plug-in adapters for drill batteries. I'm gonna grab one of those and make a adapter for it, so I can just plug it in on charge instead of just jamming wires with something like a spade connector or something like that on the end of them in there. But for now, that's obviously what I'm going to do. Alright, well, that's it for this video. I know it's not a special video at all, but I honestly could not be bothered to do anything on the amplifier today. I just wasn't feeling it. I've had a headache most of the day. It went away and then it came back again. So I thought I'd just do something small. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.